Have you ever felt an inexplicable emptiness, as if something inside you was crying out for attention? As if your life, no matter how much it follows a logical path, still hides something essential, something you can't name. Carl Jung, one of the greatest explorers of the human psyche, called this the call of the soul. A call that few hear and most ignore. But what if I told you that this call is not just a passing sensation, that it's actually your soul trying to awaken to its true nature? Jung believed that within each of us there is something greater than our rational mind can comprehend. He called this center the self, the totality of our being which connects us to the mystery of the universe. The problem? From an early age, we are conditioned to ignore this call. Society teaches us to look outwards, to seek validation, success, and security. But in doing so, many of us forget who we really are, and that's when the signs begin. Strange, vivid dreams that feel like hidden messages, unexplained coincidences, as if the universe were trying to tell you something, a feeling of dislocation, as if your life wasn't aligned with something deeper. Has this ever happened to you? If so, perhaps your soul is trying to speak, but you're not listening. Jung said that when we ignore this call, the soul finds other ways to manifest itself, through crises, depression, anxiety, and even physical illness. Because what has been repressed always finds a way back to the surface, and the most curious thing, the more we resist, the more the suffering increases. But how there is a way out of it? The question is, are you ready to hear it? The mysteries of the soul's call and the illusion of the ego. If the call of the soul is so powerful, why do most people ignore it? The answer lies in something Jung studied in depth, the ego and the shadow. From birth, we learn to construct a self that is acceptable to the world. This me is the ego, the part of us that identifies with our name, our history, our roles in society. It is necessary for us to live in the world, but it is not who we really are. Deep down, there is something much bigger, our soul, or as Jung called it, the self. But here's the problem. The ego fears the unknown. It fears what it cannot control. So when the soul calls, the ego does everything it can to ignore that call. And how does it do this? Through distraction, excessive work, social media, unbridled consumption. Through doubt, it's just in my head. Through fear, if I follow this call, my life could fall apart. And so we create a barrier between what we believe we are and what we really are. But the soul never gives up. It finds ways to manifest itself through archetypes, universal patterns that inhabit our unconscious and are reflected in myths, dreams and synchronicities. Have you ever had an intense dream that seemed to carry a profound message, or experienced a coincidence so unlikely that it seemed like a sign of fate? Jung called this synchronicity, external events that reflect internal processes, as if the universe were trying to wake you up. But the question is, do you pay attention? Because the call of the soul doesn't come in clear words. It whispers through symbols, feelings, and unexpected encounters, and the more you ignore it, the more it tries to get your attention, sometimes in painful ways. Jung said that what we don't face in our consciousness appears as destiny. In other words, if you don't listen to your soul, life will force you to listen to it. The soul doesn't want you to suffer, but it needs you to wake up. And now that you know this, the question remains. Are you willing to look inwards? The path of individuation. How to answer the call of the soul. Now that you understand the call of the soul and why it is ignored, the question arises, how can we actually hear it and follow this path? Jung called this process individuation, the journey of integrating the ego with the self. But beware, this path is not easy. Answering the call of the soul means deconstructing illusions, facing fears, and freeing oneself from deep conditioning. And it all starts with a simple but powerful act: internal listening. In the modern world, we are so used to looking outside for answers that we forget to listen to the silent voice inside us. But how can we do this? Here are 3 essential practices to start connecting with your soul. Mas. Dialogue with the unconscious, the language of dreams and intuition. Jung believed that the soul communicates mainly through dreams and intuition. Before you go to sleep, ask your unconscious a question and record your dreams when you wake up. Often the answers come in symbols that can be deciphered over time. Pay attention to the recurring images, archetypes, and emotions that emerge in dreams. They are messages from your deep psyche. Listen to your intuition. Often the first impulse of the heart is the true answer of the soul. The meeting with the shadow, integrating what has been repressed. If your soul is calling, it's because something inside you needs to be seen. Jung said that the shadow, everything we repress or deny about ourselves, needs to be integrated in order to live fully. Observe your intense emotional reactions. They often reveal repressed parts of your being. Ask yourself, what do I avoid in myself? What bothers me in others? Often, what we reject in others is what we don't accept in ourselves. Write about your deepest fears, without censorship. Self-knowledge begins with being honest with yourself. Synchronicity and purpose, following the signs of the universe. The soul speaks through mystery. Significant coincidences, synchronicities, are reminders that there is a greater intelligence guiding your path. If the same symbol, word, or situation repeats itself in your life, ask yourself, what does this want to show me? When you feel a call to a place, an idea, or a person, follow your intuition. It often reveals clues to your true path. Trust the flow of life. The soul never loses its way. When you start paying attention, you realize that your soul has always been talking to you. The question has never been the absence of a call. The question has always been, were you ready to listen? And now that you've listened, what will you do next? What did you think of this part? Is there anything you'd like me to expand on before we move on to the conclusion? Great. Now let's move on to the conclusion, ending this journey in a memorable and inspiring way, reinforcing the importance of listening to the call of the soul and inviting the audience to take action. Here is the fourth and final part of the script, the moment of choice. Will you ignore or heed your soul's call? Now that you understand what the call of the soul is, why it is ignored, and how to start listening to it, there is only one question left. Are you ready to act? Many people spend their entire lives running away from this call. They cling to a job they don't love, to relationships that no longer make sense, to a routine that suffocates their true essence. And in the end, they realize that they never really lived. Jung said that, until you become conscious, the unconscious will direct your life and you will call it destiny. But now you have a choice. You can continue living on automatic, ignoring the signs, repeating the same patterns, or you can take the first step. You can start paying attention to your dreams, your intuition, the coincidences that come your way. You can start the process of individuation, freeing yourself from masks and reconnecting with who you really are. And you can, for the first time, listen to the voice of your soul without fear. Because here's the truth. The call of the soul is not a promise of comfort, but of transformation. And transformation, although scary, is the only path to a meaningful life. Now I ask you, what is your soul trying to tell you at this very moment? And more importantly, will you ignore it? Or will you finally listen? If this video made sense to you, like, comment, and share it. This helps this message reach more people who may be ignoring their soul's call. And if you want to continue this journey of self-knowledge, check out our other content on spirituality, depth psychology, and inner transformation. Remember, your soul has always known the path. The decision to follow it is yours,